anything that you do that helps reduce the amount of cortisol that your body is dealing with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is so powerful for all of the systems in your body. So taking the time and just saying like, I am going to prioritize this. Like, I'm not going to let, making cookies for the neighbors or, going Christmas shopping today, this moment, I'm not going to let it get in the way of the very important, consistent self-care routine that you're setting.
Welcome to another episode of Nortify and Beautify, the podcast that shows you the other side of beauty. Every week, we interview the experts about the world of beauty, health, and wellness so that you can make informed decisions that are right for you. My name is Noura Mushama.
And I'm Linda Yates. This week on the show, we're going to be speaking with a member of the Nortify and Beautify team and digging into 10 tips for winter wellness. Depending on where you live, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you're starting to maybe feel a little bit of chill in the air, or the days are starting to get shorter. That's not my favorite time of the year, I must admit. But we're going to have a conversation about how you can prepare for the upcoming holiday season so that you feel absolutely amazing as we move into the new year. So let's start the show. On Nortify and Beautify, we are so excited to visit with you today about this very fun topic.
I'm super excited too. Thank you so much for having me.
I'd love to explain your role in Nortify Beautify for our listeners, since your role is mainly behind the scenes. Every week, Pria helps us keep our fingers on the pulse of what's happening in the world of beauty and health. She assists with researching our guests and their areas of expertise so that we can cover the kinds of questions our audience is asking. And she helps us with forecasting upcoming trends for our episode topics so we stay fresh and relevant.
Yeah, Priya is awesome and keeping us moving and in the right direction. She is. We appreciate you so much. We also want to tackle this issue of winter wellness, because I think a lot of people just to kind of accept that, the holidays are going to be stressful. I know I've already been having bad dreams that I'm not prepared, and it's a recurring dream I have every single year. But that being said, that's actually why I put on my bling this morning, because we're going to be talking about these holidays. So I just wanted to also encourage everyone to take a moment, and that's why we wanted to talk about this today. As you set your New Year's resolutions, that you actually take time to focus on yourself and create that tone for the next new year. So if that's kind of hard to do, though, if you're really super exhausted from shopping and cooking and whatever else, or traveling. Oh my word, all the travel that happens. So today we're going to talk about 10 different tips that we want you to walk away with to prepare yourself and refresh yourself and prepare you physically and emotionally and mentally for the holidays to come.
Yeah, such a good point. Like, there are so many different things that pull us in a lot of different directions. And so being able to take the time for yourself, I feel, at least for myself, who's gotten pushed to the side so many years until it's to the point where I'm feeling wiped out and we're still in the middle of the holiday season. It's still winter. We still have several months of winter to go. And I don't feel like I have the energy to make it through it. And so the idea behind this episode was to help get out ahead of some of those issues that come up, because it's way easier to kind of handle the problem from the beginning, whether it's issues of fitness, health, anything, rather than trying to deal with it once it's already gotten pretty bad. So we want these tips to be simple, easy to integrate into your regular schedule, and for them to help you actually enjoy your time during the holidays instead of just feeling like you have to get through it.
So we can try to relieve the stress a little bit from meeting all the family, which is fun, but There is a lot of stress with it. So let's get started with tip number one.
All right. So we're going to start with some tips for maintaining your health through the winter. And tip number one is to do physical activity in a way that's going to work for you. I know that coming out of the summer and fall where I'm most active and most likely to like do things that are, active, that are just small things like walk to the store instead of drive the car because it's beautiful outside and I want to be out. All that stuff falls apart in the winter. And I think finding some activity you can do indoors if you don't like to be outside or to supplement your like winter sports can be helpful because I had this coach years ago. He would say to me, motion is lotion. So anything you do to help keep yourself moving keeps everything running smoothly.
For me, I live in a very warm climate. So the winter is actually the time that we love to get outside more. So, and if that's the case of where you're at, then I would just kind of flip this on its end. So if we're running into summer and you're listening to this episode, just kind of keep that in mind. You can apply these things to whatever locale you're at.
Well, I've tried both. I come from Canada, so winter for us was like we're like little bears. We hide in the winter. It's so extreme that you cannot do anything. And summer is super hot. Now we're in an area that it's always beautiful. So I do really appreciate going outside. So whenever you have a moment or you have the opportunity to go outside, just walk around, we should take it. I do appreciate that time.
So let's move on to tip number two, which is more tip about your diet. But coming into the winter, I think given that we're going to like holiday parties a little bit more, I think people are eating maybe a little bit outside their normal diet.
No.
Healthy choices, but then in the winter at these holiday parties, you want to eat the awesome, rich, delicious food that you're making. And maybe some people want to have an alcoholic beverage or two. That's pretty, you can balance these things so that they don't take you down in the long run. And one of the ways to do that is to incorporate more antioxidants into your diet. Your antioxidants can help support your liver as well as your mental health. And they are in really delicious foods like berries and dark chocolate.
Oh, dark chocolate. That's true. Yeah, we have a lot of good dark chocolate with the nuts now. It's the season for them. I usually stack my cabinet with milk chocolate. Maybe it's a good idea to switch it to dark chocolate. So babies can have less chocolate and I can have more. That's a good one, Pria.
So Noah, years ago, I was working with a woman, and around the holidays, we'd have these different parties and things. And I grew up always liking milk chocolate and didn't really have a taste for dark chocolate. And this friend of mine said, milk chocolate is for bedwetters. And I was like,
Oh,
what? And I don't agree that that's necessarily the case, but I've definitely come as I've matured to enjoy dark chocolate so much more. And it is awesome that it's got so many great antioxidants in it.
So let's go to tip number three, which continues down this line of keeping yourself healthy through what you put into your body. And I mean, preface with, I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to give you medical advice, but I would say it's a good time to talk to your doctor. If you have not done blood work recently, maybe do some blood work and see if you might be, if doing a vitamin D supplement coming into the winter might be right for you. Since we're not going to be, I mean, those of us in the Northern Hemisphere are not seeing the sun as much during the winter months. Even if you're like, in the Southern United States, you're still getting less daylight hours. And because of that, you're absorbing less vitamin D through your skin. So having a supplement can be really helpful. And it's definitely worth talking to your regular doctor about to see if that's a good option for you and to start that before the winter months progress and you start to feel the the repercussions of a vitamin D deficiency?
Yeah, well, vitamin D deficiency is a big subject to talk about. It hurts everything. It makes your immune system lower. It hurts your skin, your hair. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Vitamin D
What is,
is crucial.
what is a vitamin D supplement that you all like to use? Because quite frankly, I'm not using one, and I really probably ought to find one. So, what's one that you guys have used and found good success with, or know others that have found good success with?
Actually, I use one for the hair. My hair is always like fine, and I lose a lot of hair all the time, especially in winter. So I use ones that are for hair growth. So you would have their vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, which are what we call the fat soluble vitamins. Those are really good for your skin and your hair.
And yeah, I personally, so I cannot eat dairy, which is very sad, but because of that, I have to take a calcium supplement. And when you take a calcium supplement, you should always be fortified with vitamin D and K to help with the absorption of calcium into your body. So that's where I get my extra vitamin D, and it has that added bonus of helping my bone health.
I can't take any pills. It bothers my stomach, and that's been a problem for me. There is outside the gummy bears. Those are really good, and they work. And you can eat them. It's your candy, your bonbon.
Yeah, that's good.
It's easy to stay
I'll
on
have to
track
check that out.
with candy to keep yourself healthy.
Right? That's the perfect combination. I think it's a genius who came up with this idea.
Definitely.
Even though in the lab it gives us a lot of headaches.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, it's a nightmare in the lab when we get the gummy bears. Yes.
Oh, no.
Well, I want a whole episode about gummy bear vitamins. We'll have to do that in the
Yeah,
future.
we'll have to do that.
Yeah, that's a good subject. For us, when we see the gummy bear samples, oh my God, because you're gonna have to go to a whole extra step of extractions. There is a lot of excipient in there that would mask your active ingredients. But in the digestive system, no, they go easy and your body would absorb it easily.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, these are amazing.
Well, cool. I mean, yeah, we should definitely talk more about that. I remember you mentioning it in episode 3 when we were talking a little bit about how things like how product testing works. So we'll definitely have to do another one where we go in depth. That's so cool.
Sure.
Okay, you guys ready for tip number 4?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
All right. So continuing along this path of health, I really also want to emphasize the importance of moisture during the winter, which sounds kind of crazy because, it rains or it snows or what have you. But dryness is a huge problem in the winter. And number one, like most important thing is to remember to drink a lot of water. I know for me, I'm a huge water drinker. I drink a ton of water every day. But like my mother, for example, has never been a big water drinker, and reminding her to keep on track during the winter is a little bit more tough because you don't have it's just easier, I think, in the summer to remember to stay on top of your water intake. And so that is a big one. As far as your skin and your hair, for those things to be moisturized, you have to actually drink the water. You cannot just put the moisture on the top.
It's funny, in winter you get more dry. Do you know what?
Oh, I know.
Because
It's so strange.
it's because of the heating systems.
Yeah, and I think the humidity is so much less as well.
Because of
Humidity
the
is
rain. Yeah.
right. And even, even like I live in the South, so which is why we love the winter in the South because the humidity goes way down. But yeah, but I have to admit that when that happens, I don't have as much frizz in my hair. So.
You know what's funny? When the humidity is very high in some areas, eczema patients get better. Humidity is higher. Humidity is very important to your body, and that goes back to what you're saying. It's very important to keep our input of water controlled. And I have to remind myself with that, I'm very bad with that thing.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I spent a year living in the Southwest US desert that it really just helped me get on top of my water intake. So, drink water like you live in the desert would be my advice.
Oh, oh, that's a
Um,
good one.
so for our next tip, one of the things that I've been really fascinated by and something I really love is like a hydrating face mask. And before you go to these, holiday parties that you may go to, or when you visit family that you haven't seen in a while and you want to really look your best, they're going to be taking pictures that are going to live on someone's fridge for the rest of time. Um,
Yep.
Having like a hydrating mask or even a collagen mask can be a great way to just brighten and plump everything up before you go to see everybody. I love a face mask. I think that they are just the most luxurious thing, the most luxurious way to show myself that I care about myself. And personally, I can't quite do the collagen mask. It's a little bit too the texture is not quite right for me, but people have seen really good results from doing them overnight, which is too much for me, which is okay. Like if you can do that, amazing. Good luck. If you cannot, a regular hydrating mask is just as good. I mean,
Yeah, I forgot face masks, and since I got my twins, baby's gonna get scared whenever they see me putting the mask. So those were out of my closets for a while now. But I miss them. Yeah, face masks are amazing.
Yeah, I actually just it was my birthday a couple weeks ago, and so I took advantage of the few that I have in my drawer that I keep thinking, oh yeah, I need to do that. Oh yeah, I need to do that. But I just never stop and do that. And I did that for the night of my birthday when we were going to go out to a special dinner, and I just felt like so much more empowered. It just felt good. It was really rejuvenating, and it just made me feel like I was kind of centering in on my just on my heart and my feel and me to be able to show up the way I wanted to show up.
Oh my God, you brought me to that like feelings. I need to find the time to do that, no matter what.
So yeah.
it's true, right? Like so much of the time on this show, one of the things I love about it is that you talk about how
Yeah.
we have to, in order to look our best, we have to actually feel that way. And I feel like some of these things, like a sheet mask, can give you that internal good feeling that goes with the external feeling, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So we are now at tip number 6.
It's about 6.
Yep, we have covered. We're over halfway through. So if you haven't heard anything that resonates with you yet, don't worry, we still got 5 more to go. Tip number 6 is actually this is like kind of for me more than anything else. I currently am just obsessed with scalp and hair health. I don't know. I'm in my 30s. I may not look it, but I am. And so I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to see a little bit of my hair getting a little bit thinner than it was in my 20s. And I want to help my scalp be as healthy as possible so that my hair follicles are not fighting my scalp health to try to do what they need to do. So one thing that I've been really conscious of coming into these winter months is how dryness affects not just all of your skin. Like your scalp is your skin, and I feel like it gets forgotten so much of the time. So in the winter, when we're fighting dryness, switching to a more moisturizing shampoo as you're taking care of your scalp, as you're doing those like long everything showers where you are just enjoying a long scalp massage that as you should be doing for yourself. Hopefully you are. Adding more moisturizing shampoo with some ingredients like aloe vera to just boost how it just helps your scalp will really, in the long run, be really good for your hair growth and helping kind of hold on to the hair you have, because as we know, stress can have impacts on our hair as well. And so during the holidays, a lot of people experience a little bit of hair loss. And this is a great way. It's kind of a double whammy. The scalp massage itself should help reduce some stress. Adding moisture and moisturizing shampoo to that will just keep your hair itself and the follicles moisturized.
That's a good one. I've never thought about that one.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. Even though you want your hair to look good.
I'm low-key obsessed with my scalp right now. It's just like, it's a me thing. I know.
Have you heard about these rent lines scalps?
Yes. Yeah. I have not gone that direction yet. It takes a little bit of investment to do the low-level light therapy. But maybe someone will get me one for Christmas.
Oh, it could work.
But yeah, we could even, there's another episode.
Or that one. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it's the lady who does my hair who told me about it last time. She's like, oh, I think you should do that. I'm like, I know my hair is thin. Thank you so much. It's what.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right.
So what's next, Priya?
Number 7 is specifically about the lips. In the winter, that winter dryness, and especially if you are outside during the winter and you're dealing with like cooler wind, lip chapping can definitely occur. And one thing that I know I wish I had been told before, like at some point in the past, was not to exfoliate really hard on your lips. Gentle exfoliation, and then matching that with some kind of lip moisturizer can be huge. That is one thing that I have just has really changed my experience of life in the winter, because chapping is painful, and once it starts, it's really hard to fix it. So getting out ahead of it, doing gentle moisturizing. I use like a washcloth that's kind of old, so it's a little bit not super soft. And then I like a moisturizer that has ceramides. That's what I personally use, because it creates a barrier that helps protect your lips and keep the moisture that's already inside.
In Canada, I used to put Vaseline.
That's a great barrier creator as well.
Oh yeah, because the cold is it's out of this world. So you need something to really mask it completely. Otherwise, you would have a chipped lip the whole winter. It doesn't go back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your next one?
You ready for tip number 8? Okay. So all of these things are to try to increase your health or maintain health through the winter months. And that leads to, hopefully looking as good as you feel. But knowing all of the women out there, you're probably still going to want to put on some kind of foundation. Maybe not. Don't feel pressured. But if you go to a holiday event, or you're at your work events and you want to, put on your makeups that you love, I want to also cover, I think a lot of the time going into these things, because people think they don't need SPF in the winter, which they do, and because people want to get that more moisture kind of to raise up how much moisture they're getting, they will try to find makeup products like a foundation that does it all. Something that with SPF, with a moisturizing kind of feel, that is also foundation, like a pigmented foundation. And I would highly recommend that you don't try to combine and find a product that tries to do all of them, because chances are it's doing none of them very well. Most foundations that have SPF don't actually have enough SPF to protect you, even in the winter. One of the things about sunscreen is in the winter, you're not feeling the effect of the sun on your face if you live in somewhere that's a little bit cooler. And so it's harder to tell if you're getting the maybe a slight burn. And so having a sunscreen barrier is really important. And if you aren't sure how to add more moisture to your routine, a moisturizing primer is 100% of the time going to work better than something that is a moisturizing foundation. that would be, and then go ahead and use whatever foundation you like best on top of the skincare that you're doing.
I'm a big believer and proponent of primers for everything, for eye makeup, for lips, for face. I just really believe that primer is just like if you're going to paint something, you wouldn't just start painting. You would want to prime your surface. And like you walk into a painted room, and the best looking painted rooms have a primer on the wall underneath of that. And again, too, for art. So I'm a huge proponent of primers. Love those.
I'm with you, 100% with you on that one.
I
And
yeah.
going back to the SPF, and in winter, in the cold areas, the SPF is more important than having it in summer, because in the summer, as you said, you can feel the sun hurting you.
Sure.
In winter, you don't, and the cloud mask the heat and mask everything, but it doesn't mask the UV waves that really like burn you. And that's why the people who live in the cold area, they got sunburn more in winter than in summer, believe it or not.
I grew up in Canada as well, and I remember like still having to wear my sunscreen when I was like a little kid, even in the winter. And it's helpful because I've definitely got good
It
habits.
is helpful. Yeah, I rebelled on the sunscreen when I was a teenager, and I didn't want to put it anymore, and it got a bad burn. So I'm a big believer of sunscreen now.
All right, we're coming into tip number 9. So, looking at all of that, knowing we have some tools to help keep us healthy, beautiful, looking beautiful, feeling amazing. We also need to think about the fact that none of these things are going to go as well if we're under a lot of stress. And it sounds like counterintuitive. Like, how do you set aside time to ensure that you're not stressed when you would rather be using that time to do the things that will make you feel less stressed out? Like, I know it's really hard for people to find that time for themselves at any point in the year, but especially in the holidays when you have so many other obligations, you want to spend time with your family, all that stuff. It's really important, though, to when you're making these kind of changes, and this applies to anything we've talked about so far, incremental change is the best way. Don't try to go 0 to 100, because that will just inevitably lead to something falling apart. It ends up becoming more of a stress to try to do the thing than it actually really is. And so taking just, even if it's like for example, if you know that in January you want to start a workout routine, now would be a great time to do 30 minutes of yoga, one small at-home exercise, one day a week at the gym, something small that is very achievable and that you'll feel good about. So that would be my first and almost like underlining everything we've talked about so far, is doing the change incrementally, which I know is hard because a lot of people are kind of overachievers, but in this case, it won't help you.
I think Linda had a lot to talk about that when we were doing the episode for the image, and she was talking about managing the stress, managing how you appear, managing. I remember that episode made me rethink a lot of my daily routine.
Oh, that's so kind of you, Nora. I love, Priya, that sometimes we can think, okay, yeah, we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it hard, and then you do feel stress or you get burned out, and then you just throw your hands up and say, what does it all matter? Instead of doing a little bit every day. You know, there's a great book. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but it's the whole aspect is getting 1% better. So if you can set that objective for yourself, and it's not a competition with other people. One of the best things that I have found to help reduce stress, quite frankly, is to acknowledge I'm stressed. And then and notice what you do to reduce stress. If you turn to food, then, say, okay, I'm eating this because I'm stressed. And what will actually happen is you end up eating less, because then if you're mindful about it, then it's not just this behavioral reaction. It's okay, we're being intentional about that. So I love that.
That's awesome.
And I think you're to 10, right?
Yeah, bringing it home for number 10. So number 10, it really dovetails with this, because it's not enough to just put something on the calendar and say, I'm going to do it. And it's something that's for myself. And then you come to the day of, and it's easy to like brush it off and act like, maybe I'll get to it next week. Carving out the time and really deciding this is important is another layer of it. When you become stressed, you experience a higher amount of cortisol in your body, cortisol being the stress hormone. Cortisol is really hard on your body and is hard on your hair. It's hard on your skin. It's hard on just so many different, your immune system. And so anything that you do that helps reduce the amount of cortisol that your body is dealing with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is so powerful for all of the systems in your body. So taking the time and just saying like, I am going to prioritize this. Like, I'm not going to let, making cookies for the neighbors or, going Christmas shopping today, this moment, I'm not going to let it get in the way of the very important, consistent self-care routine that you're setting up.
Oh, that's harder done than said, though.
It so is. But yeah, if you need help doing that, you guys released a really amazing episode, this past week. Episode 5 of Nortify and Beautify is about setting up a self-care routine and what does it take to do that. And if you deal with things like executive function problems or just struggle with motivation, like how do you make that time? So we'll link to that one in our show notes, just in case anyone's curious.
Wow, we love those tips. I think this makes it makes it a lot easier for us to at least have a list of things that what we need to do. Just the way you put it, it breaks it down to tips, breaks it down to points. And I think that makes it more achievable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to come and share some of the things that I've learned and all of the fun I've had researching for the show.
Thank you so much, Pria. It was great speaking with Pria. She really broke it down to 10 tips, which made it, I think, easier for us to know what points we need to concentrate on and what points we're kind of going with it. I don't think any of us really have them all covered. I certainly don't.
So, Noor, what was your biggest takeaway?
The thing that stayed with me really is take the time to take care of yourself. Reduce the amount of stress on you in this period of time. I know that the holidays are full of joy and fun and events, but it comes with that a lot of stress, especially if you're meeting the big family, all the prejudgment, all the people that loves you and not kind of loves you. You're meeting everyone and you need to make it out with everyone and you need to be nice to everyone. And I do understand the amount of stress that comes with this period of time. So managing stress, especially with younger kids, I think that's the most important time. I have to admit that in the last few days, I've been more aggressive with my babies just because it's a lot that's coming in. Just organizing things in my head, what I need to do, what need to be done, how we need to prepare, travel arrangements, party arrangements, everything. It puts a lot of pressure, but the only thing that we need to remember always that it's really fun time and we should
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great takeaway. I think for me, probably the biggest takeaway that I walked away with, I have not been thinking about my scalp. And I have to say that, as each year goes by, I probably should be thinking more about my scalp. So I'm gonna be checking into more of what that scalp care looks like and what that is all about. So yeah, those are some awesome tips. Definitely a way to kind of gear up and prepare myself just, to experience even more joy and to share and to give and put myself out there, because that is, for me, that's where true joy comes, is when I'm sharing with those that I love and are so important to me. So we want to thank each of you for listening to this episode of Nortify and Beautify, where we show you the other side of beauty. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you'll subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you want more information about us or to read our blog, check us out at nortify-beautify.com.
Our podcast is produced by TSE Studios and our music is from Soundstrip. If you haven't been over to our YouTube channel, you can watch our interviews there as well. We'd love it if you would leave us a comment while you were at it. I'm Noura Bouchana.
And I'm Linda Yates. We'll be back with another great episode of Nortify and Beautify. See you then.
Bye.